Kia ora, lovely Taurus. Thanks for joining me. This is your reading for the new moon in Leo, which is coming up very soon at the end of this month of July, which is not that far away. So, thanks for joining me. These readings are intuitive tarot, so take what resonates and just leave what doesn't. And do subscribe if you like this channel. Press that little like button because it actually alters the algorithms quite dramatically, even with just one like. It's amazing, meaning it just gets exposed to more people. Anywho, hope you're all doing well, Taurus, and let's see what the cards have today. All the astro signs will be up by the end of tomorrow, so let's see. And do check out your ascendant moon, Venus and Jupiter for a more holistic view. Let's see what the cards have now. We've got, we'll just keep shuffling actually. We've got one card, the Seven of Swords, coming out. It is a card of I guess looking at where we might let ourselves down at times, or our particular patterns of behaviour, specifically actually in terms of how we go about getting what we want. Are we sort of up front, or do we go around the back door? There is an element to the Seven of Swords, and it's interesting because in the Thoth deck, the Seven of Swords, often it's portrayed as a thief in the night. I would always look at the Seven of Swords as being how we actually do that to ourselves more so. And it is quite a psychological card, being a swords being of the mind. But it's interesting with the Thoth deck. The card itself here is called futility, because it's almost as if, it's like when we think of those patterns of our own behaviour, that it's always a sort of predictable outcome, but it's such a habit and it's so difficult to get out of, whatever this is, on a personal level, Taurus. So it's often a difficult card, because in that card, and it's called futility in the Thoth deck, we see how we actually sabotage ourselves sometimes. Or what is a self-sabotaging, pattern in our history book, as it were. Anyway, so we're coming out here. So we've got that Seven of Swords. We then have the pretty amazing, actually, Four of Discs, which is about having a very secure position, being very safe and secure in our material world, in our physical world. There's a structure in this which, if you're familiar with other decks as well, often it's a figure holding discs over the vital organs of the body and not wanting to let them go. The disc being of a tangible nature, a physical exchange. Sometimes we do have to let things go in order to, get things moving more in a flow, I guess. But we see here the Four of Discs. It is called power. It's a very strong structure, a very sort of aerial view of this structure, where there is one way in and one way out. There's an access point through the material world, through Malkut on the Tree of Life, through the material world is our entry and our exit. Maybe there's some Taurians out there that are thinking, okay, so I need to change something in the way that I do certain things that I do, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, check out your as I said before, I think at the beginning, for a more holistic view, if you know what your ascendant and moon are, especially, check those out. So we've got the Seven of Swords, we've got the Four of Discs, strong structure, but can we afford to let something go? Just to keep this sort of movement, to keep some level of momentum. We don't want to stay still. We don't want to get stuck, you know? Anywho, then we have the Six of Swords, which is a wonderful card representing a shift, a kind of psychological shift, I guess, to a more conducive state. You know, can indicate a new level of well-being and you know, mental balance, actually, with the Six of Swords. It's a wonderfully balanced card. And in the Thoth deck, it is called Science. Because the lines in this card, you see in the backdrop, are actually Lady Frida Harris, who designed these cards, described it as fencing, defense positions for fences, you know, parry forward, like fencing. All of these lines and shapes in this card are all the potential positions of defense. So we can, you know, when you look at that and the meaning in this, like there's a lot of different, there's a lot of layers of symbology within these cards. And we look at the traditional Six of Swords as being moving to a calmer place, a place that's more conducive, you know. So to cut a long story short, we're going to go through and clarify for you, Taurus, but it's almost as if you're kind of reviewing the way that you do what you do. What can you maybe let go of a little bit in order to get beyond a level of defense, maybe, and just get into your own sort of flow again. So let's see. We get first, I'm not looking at anything here, but we get the beautiful star coming out. This is a wonderful Aquarian card, actually. We're mixing the waters. We're just mixing things up. The process of doing this is allowing a level of healing. So maybe you've been doing a, you know, review or something. Certainly looking at how you may well let yourself down at times. I mean, we all do. It could be a current theme that you've been thinking of. Let's look at the Seven of Swords for all you Taurians out there. Seven of Swords. Oh, what do we got? We've got a lot. We've probably got too many. We have got too many, yes, indeed. But anyway, we'll go through them one at a time, the way that they came out. So we're looking at that Seven of Swords. How do we let ourselves down? Are we transparent? Do we understand our intentions, our motivations? What is it all about? First and foremost, Knight of Pentacles, managing. We're great managers here. This Knight of Pentacles runs with the ball, manages the crops, sees that they're going out where they should, to whom they should, all of that. Allocation is what I hear. Then we have the celebratory card of the Three of Cups, enjoying the company of others, of friends, of celebration, times to celebrate. It's quite confusing. Start to get too many cards coming out. Then we have the Six of Cups, a card of childhood memory. So is there something in this? There often is with the Seven of Swords. There's something about possibly childhood memory, unconditional giving and receiving. In this card, we give because of the sheer pleasure in the giving, for no other reason. It's a very childlike thing. Also, elements of people returning from the past, or your memories of the past. These are all sort of attached often to that Seven of Swords. And then we have the Nine of Discs, independence. Yep, independent, metaphor for the soul. We're in a garden, we're surrounded by things that we value, that we hold of great value. And there's a self-mastery, there's a self-made position here that we hold. It's interesting. It's as if it's as if there's a question within here somewhere of what can I actually give to others? Or in what way do I do that? And maybe there's something that's going on for me at the moment where I'm kind of altering my attitude to themes of giving, themes of receiving, things which have been of value to me. Sometimes these things change. So it's all kind of interesting. Let's get a for the Four of Discs. It's too many cards, I reckon, but anyway. Four of Discs for Taurus. Oh, we've got one card here that somehow ended up face up. Four of Discs, we get the Six of Discs. This is flow in terms of generosity. This is a deep purse. There's a great generosity here. There's some question about giving. There's a question here. Because on one hand, there's a very clear boundary. On the other hand, there's a large level of generosity, and maybe this is the balance that you've figured out, Taurus. It's a balance that really is a wonderful thing to learn. What is right? What is that right balance for you? You know, wanting to be generous, you can be very generous and still have quite clear boundaries within that. So it's quite wonderful. And this was the card that somehow ended up face up here, the High Priestess. So we're going inward to really figure a few things out here. But, you know, it is something about value. It's about what you see as your own personal value as much as what you offer to others. The kind of how you work that for yourself and what's right for you. Six of Swords for Taurus, please. Six of Swords. For lovely Taurians out there. Psychologically, a sort of better place. Look, I think we get the Four of Discs again. Yeah, there's I just think, you know, in terms of this storyline, it's like you've kind of gone through this review, or you've looked at, you know, the themes of giving and receiving. Are you holding on to too much here, or is that allowing you to be more generous? Which sounds paradoxical, but this is what I'm getting. I think it's actually a really good thing. I might just get a Brian Farreld Pixie and Fairy card. Can you give us a Pixie and Fairy insight or angle to this? Beautiful cards these are. Oh. There is definitely, though, within this, I do think, aspects of, as I said, remembering certain things about childhood. Look, that is what we grow up with, those values, and we learn, you know, whatever family environment we're in, we learn those things that you know, that are our foundation here, you know, are our initial foundation as we move through life. It's interesting because we get Mikala Muckle, which is about enjoyment. It's about having a laugh, actually. It's about lightening things up. So there's a childlike fun in this card. We then have the blank card, which is a sort of card where you put your own little fairy figure on if you had this deck. It is what it is for you. You fill in the blank, you know. There is a need to kind of, you know, to enjoy something here. I don't see that Four of Discs twice as necessarily being a hurdle to that, because it's not, because it's part of, to have, as I said, paradoxically, to have firm boundaries allows you to be very generous, allows that there's still a flow coming in and out here, you know. And then we have, for this new moon in Leo reading, we've got this incredible Soulless card, which is about the fires of, you know, source force or life force that exist within you. Lovely Taurus. It's a Daniel Craig card. Does look a bit like him, doesn't it? It's empowerment. It's been empowered. Independently. That is what I get for you today. Lovely Taurus. So on that note, we'll leave it at that. Check out your, as I said, I think 3 times, Moon, Ascendant, Venus and Jupiter, if you know what they're in, for a more holistic view. And all the readings will be up by the end of tomorrow, so do check them out, the collective, etc. Thanks again for joining me, and have a wonderful week. Take good care. Ka kite, Taurus. Bye-bye.